Thus, for opening a sutra, the unsurpassed profound and wonderful Dharma is difficult to encounter in hundreds of millions of aeons. I now see and hear it, receive and uphold it, and I vow to fathom the Tathagata's true meaning. The Wonderful Dharma, Lotus Flower Sutra, Volume 12, Chapter 16, The Thus Come One's Lifespan. At that time, the Buddha spoke to the Bodhisattvas and the entire Great Assembly, saying, "Good men, you should believe and understand the sincere and truthful words of the Thus Come One." Once again, he told the Great Assembly, "You should believe and understand the sincere and truthful words of the Thus Come One." He again told the Great Assembly, "You should believe and understand the sincere and truthful words of the Thus Come One." Then the Great Assembly of Bodhisattvas, headed by Maitreya, placed their palms together and spoke to the Buddha, saying, "Well-honored One, we only pray that you will speak. We shall believe and accept the Buddha's words." They repeated this 3 times. Again they said, "We only pray that you will speak. We shall believe and accept the Buddha's words." At that time, the World-Honored One, knowing that the Bodhisattvas would not stop with 3 requests, spoke to them, saying, "You should listen attentively. The Thus Come One's power of spiritual penetrations is acknowledged by all gods, humans, and asuras in the world. They say that Shakyamuni Buddha, having left the palace of the Sakyan clan, and having gone to a place not far from the city of Gaya to sit in the Bodhimanda, has now attained Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. However, good men, I actually realize Buddhahood, limitless, boundless, hundreds of thousands of myriads of kotis of nayutas of aeons ago. Suppose a person were to grind into fine motes of dust 500,000 myriads of kotis of nayutas of asankheyas of 3,000 great thousand world systems. Then suppose he traveled to the east across 500,000 myriads of kotis of nayutas of asankheyas of lands, and there he deposited 1 mote of dust. Suppose he continued in this way, traveling to the east, until all the motes of dust were gone. Good men, what do you think? Could the number of the worlds he passed through be reckoned or counted?" Maitreya Bodhisattva and the others all said to the Buddha, "World-honored One, those world systems would be limitless, boundless, beyond calculation, and beyond the power of the mind to know. All the hearers and Pacheka Buddhas, using their non-outflow wisdom, could not conceive of them, nor know their limit or number. We now dwell on the ground of Avaravatika, but we cannot comprehend this matter, World-honored One, and so such world systems will be limitless and boundless." At that time, the Buddha spoke to the great host of Bodhisattvas, saying, "Good men, I shall now explain this clearly for you. If all these world systems, whether a dust mote was deposited in them or not, were reduced to dust motes, and if each dust mote were an aeon, the time that has passed since I became a Buddha would exceed even that by hundreds of thousands of myriads of kotis of nayutas of asankheyas of aeons. From that time on, I have always remained in the Saha world, speaking the Dharma to teach and transform beings. Also in other places, in hundreds of thousands of myriads of kotis of nayutas of asankheyas of lands, I have guided and benefited living beings. Good men, in that interval, I spoke of the Buddha Dipankara and others, and I further spoke of them as entering nirvana. But those were just discriminations made expediently. Good men, If a living being comes before me, I observe with my Buddha eye his faith in other qualities, as well as the keenness or dullness of his faculties, and I take him across in an appropriate manner. In all places, although the names by which I refer to myself are different, and I may be older or younger, I also appear and announce that I am about to enter nirvana. I also employ various expedient devices, speaking the subtle and wonderful Dharma, and enabling living beings to bring forth happiness in their minds. Good men, the thus come one, seeing living beings delighting in lesser dharmas, beings of scanty virtue and heavy defilements, speaks for these people, saying, when young, I left the home life and attained Anuttara Sankhya Sambodhi. In truth, however, I became a Buddha a long time before that. I speak in this way merely as an expedient to teach and transform living beings and to cause them to enter the Buddha way. Good men, the sutras proclaim by the thus come one are all for the purpose of saving and liberating living beings. He may speak of his own body, or he may speak of someone else's body. He may manifest in his own body, or he may manifest in someone else's body. He may manifest his own affairs, or he may manifest the affairs of others. But all that he says is true and not false. What is the reason for this? The thus come one knows and sees the triple realm as it really is. There is no birth or death, no retreating or advancing, no existence in the world or passage into quiescence. There is no reality or unreality, nor likenesses, nor differences. He views the triple realm as not being the triple realm. Matters such as these the thus come one clearly sees without mistake or error. Living beings have various natures, various desires, various modes of conduct, and various ideas, thoughts, and discriminations, wishing to lead them to produce the roots of goodness. He employs diverse causes and conditions, analogies and expressions to explain the various dharmas, carrying out the Buddha's work without respite. Thus, since I realized Buddhahood in that very remote past, my lifespan has been limitless asankheyas of aeons, eternal and never extinguished. Good man, the lifespan I realized when formerly practicing the Bodhisattva path has not yet been exhausted, and is twice that of the above number. As I now proclaim that I am about to enter quiescence, I am not really passing into quiescence. The thus come one uses this passing only as an expedient to teach and transform living beings. For what reason? If the Buddha were to stay in the world a long time, those of scanty virtue, who do not plant good roots, who are poor and lowly, who covet the objects of the five desires, and who are caught in the net of schemes and false views, seeing the thus come one constantly present and not entering stillness, will become arrogant, lax, and indifferent. They would not consider how difficult it is to encounter him, nor would their hearts be reverent. For these reasons the thus come one expediently says, Bhikshus, you should know that it is difficult to meet with a Buddha appearing in the world. What is the reason? Those of scanty virtue may pass through limitless hundreds of thousands or myriads of kotis of aeons, during which time they may or may not see a Buddha. Because of that, I tell them, Bhikshus, the thus come one is difficult to get to see. These living beings, hearing such words, will necessarily realize how difficult it is to get to encounter the Buddha and will cherish a longing for him. They will then plant good roots. That is why the Daskam one, although he does not enter stillness, speaks of quiescence. Further, good men, the Dharma of all Buddhas, the Daskam ones, is like this, and is used to save living beings. It is entirely true and not false. It is as if there were a good physician, wise and well-versed in the medical arts and intelligent, who is skillful at healing the multitudes of sicknesses. The man also has many sons, 10, 20, or even 100. Then called away on business, he travels to a far-off country. Meanwhile, the children drink some poison, which causes them to roll on the ground in delirium. Just then, their father returns home. Because they drank the poison, some of the sons have lost their senses, while others have not. Seeing their father at a distance, they were all greatly happy. They bowed to him, kneeled, and inquired after him. Welcome back in peace and safety. In our foolishness, we took some poison by mistake. We pray that you will rescue and heal us, and will restore our lives to us. Seeing his children in such agony, the father consults his medical texts and then searches for fine herbs of good color, aroma, and flavor. He then grinds, sieves, and mixes them together and gives the compound to his sons to take. And he says to them, "This is an excellent medicine of good color, aroma, and flavor. Take it, your agony will be relieved, and you will suffer no further torment." Some among the children have not lost their senses. Seeing the fine medicine with its good color and aroma, they immediately take it, and their sickness is completely cured. Although the others have lost their senses, rejoice in their father's arrival, have inquired after his well-being, and have sought to be cured of their illnesses, they refuse to take the medicine. What is the reason? The poisonous vapors have entered them so deeply that they have lost their senses, and so they say that the medicine of good color and aroma is not good. The father then thinks, how pitiful these children are. The poison has confused their minds. Although they rejoice to see me and ask me to rescue and cure them, still they refuse such good medicine as this. I should now set up an expedient device to induce them to take this medicine. Immediately he says, "You should know that I am now old and weak, and my time of death has arrived. I will now leave this good medicine here for you to take. Have no worries about not recovering." Having instructed them in this way, he then returns to the far-off country and sends a messenger back to announce, "Your father is dead." When the children hear that their father is dead, their hearts were struck with grief, and they think, if our father were here, he would be compassionate and pity us, and we would have a savior and protector. Now he has forsaken us to die in another country, leaving us orphaned, with no one to rely upon. Constantly grieving, their minds then became awakened. They understand that the medicine has good color, aroma, and flavor. They take it immediately, and their poisonous sickness is completely cured. The father, hearing that his sons have been completely cured, then comes back, and they all see him. Good man, what do you think could anyone say that this good physician has committed the offense of false speech? No, world-honored one. The Buddha said, I too am like that. I realize Buddhahood, limitless, boundless, hundreds of thousands of myriads of kotis of nayutas of asankheyas of aeons ago. For the sake of living beings, I employ the power of expedience and say that I am about to enter quiescence, there is no one who can rightly say that I have committed the offense of false speech. At that time, the World-Honored One, wishing to restate this meaning, spoke verses saying, "From the time I attained Buddhahood, the aeons that have passed are limitless hundreds of thousands of myriads, of kotis of asankheyas in number. I always speak the Dharma to teach and transform countless millions of living beings, so they enter the Buddha way. And throughout these limitless aeons, in order to save living beings, I expediently manifest nirvana. But in truth, I do not pass into quiescence. I remain here, always speaking the Dharma. I always stay right here, and using the power of spiritual penetrations, I cause inverted living beings, although near me, not to see me. The multitude see me as passing into quiescence. They extensively make offerings to my sharira. All cherish ardent longing for me, and their hearts look up to me in thirst. Living beings then faithful and subdued, straightforward with compliant minds, single-mindedly wish to see the Buddha, caring not for their very lives. At that time, I and the Sangha assembly all appear together on Magic Vulture Mountain, where I say to living beings that I'm always here and never cease to be. But using the power of expedient devices, I manifest ceasing and not ceasing to be. For living beings in other lands, reverent, faithful, and aspiring, I speak the unsurpassed Dharma. But you, who do not hear this, think that I've passed into quiescence. I see living beings sunk in misery, and yet I refrain from manifesting for them, in order to cause them to look up in thirst. Then when their minds are filled with longing, I emerge and speak the Dharma. With such powerful spiritual penetrations throughout asankheyas of aeons, I remain always on Magic Vulture Mountain, and also dwell in other places. When beings see the aeon ending, and ravaged by the great fire, my land is peaceful and secure, always filled with gods and humans, gardens and groves, halls and pavilions, and various precious adornments. There are jeweled trees with many flowers and fruits, where living beings roam in delight. The gods play celestial drums, always making various kinds of music, and mandarava flowers are scattered on the Buddha and the great assembly. My pure land is not destroyed, but the multitudes see it being burned entirely. Worried, terrified, and miserable, such ones are everywhere. All these beings with offenses, because of the evil karmic causes and conditions, pass through asankheyas of aeons without hearing the name of the triple jewel. All who have cultivated merit and virtue, who are compliant, agreeable, and honest, they all see me, here, speaking the Dharma. Sometimes for this assembly, I speak of the Buddha's lifespan as limitless. To those who see the Buddha only after long intervals, I speak of the Buddha as being difficult to meet. The power of my wisdom, the unlimited illumination of my wisdom, is such that my lifespan is one of countless aeons, attained through long cultivation and work. Those of you with wisdom should not have doubts about this. Cut them off entirely and forever, for the Buddha's words are real, not false. They are like the clever expedients of the physician, who, to cure his insane children, is actually alive, yet says he is dead. And none can say that he speaks falsely. I, too, am like a father to the world, saving all from suffering and woe. But to living beings inverted as they are, I speak of cessation, although I actually remain. Otherwise, because they often see me, they would grow arrogant and lax, unruly and attached to the 5 desires. They would tumble into the evil paths. I am ever aware of living beings, those who practice the way and those who do not. I speak various dharmas for their sakes, to save them in an appropriate manner. I'm always thinking, how can I cause living beings to enter the unsurpassed way and to quickly perfect the body of a Buddha?